iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. So we're going to go continue today with our podcast previews with none other than the Minnesota Vikings. So when we start with the Vikings, I think we have to look at the fact that Adrian Peterson is not there anymore. And this is a new team, a new day, a new team. And how are they going to get to the playoffs? I think it's pretty simple. They're going to get there by a rookie and hopefully by a quarterback who can stay healthy and find his receivers in a short passing, well-run offense. And can they do that? I don't know. It's a good question. It's a very good question. And it all starts with Sam Bradford. So this is the pickle that the Vikings are in this year. So Sam Bradford's going to be a free agent after this season, right? So they've got to figure out what they're going to do with Sam Bradford. Sam's 29 years old. He's been a good, not great NFL quarterback. He's thrown for 21 touchdown passes one time. Last year, he had 3,877 yards and 20 touchdowns, which was a good year for him. And most of all, he stayed healthy. That said, I think if you ask yourself, can you win with Sam Bradford? Not with those numbers, you can't. You've got to do a little bit better than that. But I don't know if Sam Bradford can do better than that. That was a pretty good season for him. The other problem is that the backup, well, if we call it the backup, Teddy Bridgewater's coming off a horrific knee injury. And he's going to be on the PUP lists. So he could return in week 7. It's possible. Now, here's the deal. Teddy Bridgewater is also in a contract year. So if I'm the Vikings, at some point this year, I need to see both Bradford and Bridgewater to see what I have to decide what I want to do next year. If I have Bradford and he's playing well, then I'm going to stick with Bradford for sure, right? If Bradford's not playing well, it's week 9, maybe Teddy Bridgewater plays. So Bradford keeps his job so long as the Vikings play well. I think it comes down to that. I really do. I think it comes down to that. They play well, he gets the job. If they don't, he's out. Now, Sam Bradford's also auditioning for other teams this year if he plays reasonably well. For example, the Jets, right? Maybe the Jets get Sam Bradford for a 4th-round pick next year, and Sam Bradford can be the quarterback for the Jets for the next 2 or 3 years. That's possible. That's certainly possible. So I think Bradford has a lot to play for. What would I do with Sam Bradford? I did like him as a quarterback 2 for a minute or two, but I think I've fallen away from that. I think with Sam Bradford, I'm in on him in a best ball format. So maybe he has 1 or 2 good weeks. I mean, maybe he gets you those 2 or 3 touchdowns. It's always possible with him. And I feel more comfortable with him as my 3rd quarterback in a best ball format. I just don't want to go to the mattresses with Sam Bradford as anything more than that. Sadly, I had to in a starter league I did because all the quarterbacks got picked up. So, I think my team there was Andy Dalton, Sam Bradford, and Paxton Lynch. Eesh, that's not very good, right? I know I'll have Sammy Bradford for the first few weeks. I need Lynch to get the job by week 8. That way, if Sam Bradford loses the job at any point, I have another option besides Andy Dalton. Because when Andy Dalton is your only option, that's not a good option. All right, let's turn to running back for a second. So, Dalvin Cook was an early round draft pick of the Vikings this year. And I don't think anybody, including the Vikings, mind you, expected them to take Dalvin Cook. So what happened was they picked up Latavius Murray in the offseason. and a free agency deal. And it was a good deal because I think Lat Murray knew his time in Oakland was done. He needed a new home. He comes to Minnesota, and it makes a lot of sense. But then there's Dalvin Cook on the board at the draft, and you can't say no to this guy. You can't say no to this guy. You just can't. Because he is that good. He's that good. So, I live down here in Florida. I'm watching him. He plays at Florida State. Every time he touches the football, something good happened with Dalvin Cook. I mean, that's how good he was. I joke in the Orange Bowl, there wasn't a person in the entire state of Michigan who could have stopped him. I mean, that's how, boom, he's off to the races. Now, does he have off-the-field issues? It's possible. I mean, maybe he doesn't hang out with those reputable characters. That's possible. Could it be a fumbler? Yeah, I don't know if I consider Dalvin Cook a fumbler. I think that's pretty harsh. I consider him a pretty darn good football player, though. This guy who can catch. This guy who can run. This is a guy who is dynamic. And you don't bench Dalvin Cook and play Lat Murray. You don't. You bench Dalvin Cook for a series to give him a breather, but you don't bench him for Lat Murray. No, thank you. So Dalvin Cook is going to be the number one running back in Minnesota. Just write that down. So the bigger question is this. What round do you take him in? Well, I was just in a draft where he was the first pick of the third round. And let's go through why that's not a bad pick. When you're picking at pick 1, you get David Johnson, right? First pick of the draft for Le'Veon Bell. You're waiting 23 picks for it to come back to you. That's an eternity. You take your next pick. So let's say you take DeAndre Hopkins. And now you got the first pick of the third round. You don't pick again until pick what? 48. So you've got to wait from pick 25 to 48. Good luck with that. So you know you're not getting Dalvin Cook at 48. So you might as well take him at what? 26. If you really like him. So I think that's a high stakes move. I'm not telling you that was the right value for him, but if you like Dalvin Cook, understand you're going to have to take him sooner than you want. So ADP-wise, if I had to put an exact number on Dalvin Cook, I would say he should go anywhere from the 7th pick in the 3rd round to the 7th pick of the 4th round. That's where he should go. At no point is he going to be there for the first guy, second guy, or third guy in the 4th round. Right? Anybody else picks 1, 2, and 3? So they have to take him early. Right? Sometimes the draft dictates to you how you have to take your players. You want a guy, you got to reach. Because if you don't reach, you won't get him. Simple as that. Would I draft Lat Murray? I would draft Lat Murray, but mainly for 2 reasons. One, if I had Cook, I'd take Lat Murray. I would. That's smart. And I take him probably as my 4th or 5th pick. That's smart. If I don't have Cook, I'll take Lat Murray in round 13 if he's there. If he's not there, whatever. If he's there, I'll take him. I'll take him as my 4th. It's probably my 5th running back at that point. All right, wide receivers. There's 4 I want to talk about. The first one is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, before we were in Las Vegas last year, was the high-stakes people were on Stephon Diggs. It was like a buzz. Stephon Diggs. I mean, it was pretty cool. And people were on, and this guy was being drafted higher than I expected. So it was like everybody knew something. The problem was Stephon Diggs hurt his hip. And he was really never right last year. He really was never right last year. He had a couple of really good games. First couple of weeks, he was on point. And then he had 2 good games the rest of the season. Can he get back to being a star? I think so. I love him in the 5th round this year. Absolutely think he's a perfect 5th round pick. You're in the 5th round, you take Stephon Diggs, you have my blessing. Good job. Good pick. It's Adam Thielen that I'm worried about. So last year was the perfect storm for Thielen. So AP was injured. Stephon Diggs was injured. Treadwell was a mess. They had no other receiver there. So who am I going to throw to? Adam Thielen. Sounds good to me, right? That sounds good to me. So here you go with why Adam Thielen had a career year. He saw 69 receptions for 967 yards on 92 targets. Now, with Dalvin Cook in tow, with Diggs being healthy, those numbers have to come down. Now, I'm not going to go, they're going to come down 50%. No, I'll say 10 to 15%. It's not an unfair thing. So if he gets, 60 catches for 800 yards and 5 TDs, I just don't think he's going to get better. I don't think he's going to get better than last season. And people are taking him now as a guy who's going to get better. That's not a great draft pick. I want Adam Thielen as my 5th receiver, not my 4th. Right? That's where I want him, as my 5th guy. If I don't get him as my 5th guy, then I'm okay with that. Somebody else will take him. All right, Laquan Treadwell. So let's talk about Laquan Treadwell. I watched this guy play at Ole Miss. And I like watching my college football. I loved watching Laquan Treadwell. But he's not dissimilar to Devontae Parker. This is a guy who was big and strong and fast and just tore up the SEC. But was that because he was a polished, wonderful receiver? Or is that because he was just a good athlete and a big dude who at 6'2", could take on the 5'10" cornerbacks of the University of Kentucky? So Treadwell gets 1,153 yards and 11 touchdowns in college, right? And then he comes out and he hasn't done anything, and he didn't do anything like that last year. 1 reception on 3 targets. 1 reception on 3 targets. Supposedly, he's doing better this year. Yeah, not better enough. Not better enough. That's not to say I dislike Treadwell. It's to say I think he needs 2 more years. This guy's like an unripe banana. You want that? Ugh, it tastes like crap. So I think Laquan Treadwell is going to taste like crap on your team. So if I had Stephon Diggs, I would take Laquan Treadwell in like round 19 or 20. If I had Thielen, I'd take Treadwell in round 19 or 20 as like a handcuff. People forget the old wide receiver handcuffs. They shouldn't. A wide receiver handcuff is a tricky move. If I have Stephon Diggs, if Diggs should get hurt, who's going to play? Probably Treadwell. But unless that happens, Treadwell's not going to play that much. But we know Diggs can get hurt. Already happened last year. The other receiver I want to talk about for a second is Michael Floyd. Michael Floyd is a nut job of epic proportions. I mean, there's no doubt that this guy could absolutely get himself kicked out of the league. He could lie to you. He can look you in the eye and lie to you about something. But he is talented. Let's not kid ourselves. This guy was the Scout Fantasy Breakout Player of the Year like 3 or 4 years ago. We all really liked him. He wasn't great. I mean, maybe there was 100 reasons for that. But remember the year that he was like good every other week? So Michael Floyd is a good player, and I think he could be legitimately the 3rd receiver there instead of Treadwell. Maybe even the 2nd receiver instead of Thielen. But he's going to miss the first few weeks due to suspension. And then he is hanging on by a thread. And I say a thread, I mean the thread. He's done. It could be that fast. I mean, he went to the Martavis Bryant and Josh Gordon School of Screw-Ups. So watch him closely. He certainly is a nice 20th round pick. You're looking for a last-minute flyer. You say Michael Floyd, I have no problem with that. That's a pick where you're going to have to hold him all year long. And there will be times where you're like, I should cut him, I should cut him, I should cut him. No, I can't cut him, cut him. No. And when you cut him, he'll be good the next week. That's the nightmare scenario. You know what I'm talking about. You've all experienced that. All right, last one for you here. Kyle Rudolph. I mean, how good is this dude? This guy's a beast. 6'6", 260 pounds. A Golden Domer from Notre Dame. Has 83 receptions and 132 targets last year. Hey, let's put it this way. Sam Bradford is going to go to Kyle Rudolph early and often. Sam Bradford doesn't like to make mistakes. You know, he tries to keep it really simple. He's not a guy who's going to take big chances. Sam Bradford is more like Alex Smith than you think. And Kyle Rudolph is open. He's the biggest target out there. It's a huge target, right? So he's going to get the football. Is he going to get 132 targets this year? Probably not, but maybe 110. So maybe instead of 83 receptions, he has 73, but he could have more touchdowns. What if I told you that he could have 10 touchdowns this year? Would you be shocked? I know I wouldn't be shocked. He's that good a player. So I start thinking Kyle Rudolph somewhere in round 8 or 9. Hopefully he's there for you then. I mean, there are other guys I like more. Obviously, Kelsey, Olsen, Gronkowski. But when I get to that second tier of tight ends, Rudolph is certainly in that tier. And a guy that I'd like to have. I'm not going to pick him before I pick my 4th receiver. I want to have 4 receivers in tow first before I get Kyle Rudolph, right? So don't make that mistake. Yes, I like Rudolph, but receiver always beats tight end, unless you're in one of those leagues where it gives you 1.5 points per tight end. And if you're in one of those leagues, you should be with Scout Fantasy. Then you're in the wrong league. I hate those adjustment leagues. Oh, the 3rd round reversal. Why do we need that? Because LaDainian Tomlinson was good in 2004. Oh, tight ends should be up a little bit more. Why? Why should tight ends be up a little bit more? Tight ends catch the ball as much as anybody else. I hate that rule too. I like what we have at playffwc.com. Playffwc.com. Go there now. Take a look at our draft lobby and sign up for a draft. We have the best payouts. We have great customer service. The draft room is easy peasy to use. And I think you'll have a great experience. And more than that, I want you to join Scout Fantasy. There's no better place to be right now than Scout Fantasy. We are putting up amazing content every single day. Me, Sean Childs, Adam Ronis, Mark Deming, Fuego Steve, SD Chickens, Scott Atkins, Matt DeLima, Matt Brandon. We're all here for you, trying to make sure that you guys win your seasonal fantasy football leagues and, of course, daily. Don't forget daily. Don't forget my guy Y2 Casey, who kills it in MMA. So we help you all across the way. We're scoutfantasy.com. All right? But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Back with more podcast previews as we get close to the beginning of the season. Exciting stuff. We'll talk to you soon. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!